Welcome to Mostly Disturbing Fables. Each week we bring you a new disturbing fable from the archive. Before we get to creeps, I must warn you, our fables are indeed disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Come here. Don't be shy. Mostly disturbing.
Where we left off last week, bodies keep appearing, and the detectives are no closer to discovering who the real curator is. Rook, Barnes, and Danny dive deeper to uncover an evil plot in part 2 of Condensed Violence. The bright moon shone through Rick's window. She slept peacefully. Her soft, rhythmic breaths filled the otherwise silent place. The only other sound that could be heard was a gentle scraping noise. The sound of two old, bone-dry pieces of wood scraping together. The sound came from the window opposite Rook's peaceful slumber. The silhouette of a man, clad in all black, danced along the floorboards. The shadowy claw reached out longingly towards her face. Barnes, did you hear? Rook vanished last night. Her neighbor noticed her front door was open and her house was ransacked. The first cops on the scene said classic robbery, but who knows? I don't think it was. Danny Boy paused. His voice cracked at the thought. No, she must have gone on a trip or something. He tried to convince himself that this was something simple, something benign, praying that she wasn't gone forever. He already lived in isolation. Rook and Barnes were the only ones that didn't treat him like shit. He couldn't take losing them. It might just send him to a dark place. The kind of place you don't crawl out of. Danny boy, don't you worry. We have every cop and detective looking for her. She'll turn up. In the meantime, keep working on that Curator case. See what else you can find. Barnes's voice carried the sure, steady warmth of a seasoned veteran. He had seen much worse than this. Hell, Rook has been through much worse than this. Barnes wondered if she was fighting. It's Rook. Of course she was fighting. Hang in there, Rookie. We're coming. The words quietly dripped out of his mouth. Gone was his convictions and confidence. Tears mottled the bright LED screen of Danny's laptop. His fingers whipped across the keys, bouncing from letter to touchpad to letter. His eyes trained on a scrawl of text that made up the 2 trains page. Your hands. I needed them. I will get them. A simple but plainly disturbing post popped up on his feed. It was from the Curator. Danny's heart pulsed violently, filling his ears with a rhythmic thudding beat. He was brought back to his college years, the speakers thudding violently to the underground trance beats. The blur of bodies, amorphous twisting shapes, spurred on by the various molecules tickling serotonin receptors in their brains. Danny shook his head, trying to dismiss the memory. He had to do something. Anything. He scrolled through the contacts until his thumb landed assured of its target. The contact read, Thule. He hit dial and listened, waiting for the familiar voice. Yo, Danny boy, what's up, buddy? Thule sounded happy and relaxed. Everything Danny wasn't. Thule, I need your help. Danny tried hard not to cry, but it was too late. Thule's face dropped so suddenly it could be felt through the phone line. He had only ever seen Danny this upset once. After his girlfriend had taken a fentanyl-laced Molly and dropped dead at a rave, Danny could never forgive himself. It's the reason he hides away in his cave working himself to death. Danny, what happened? Thule managed to keep his voice calm through the worry. Danny's head swirled with panic as he explained the case they were working on, and Rook's sudden disappearance. Thule and Danny met at FLETC. Danny was studying digital forensics and electronic evidence. Thule was studying cybersecurity and ethical, or perhaps not so ethical, hacking. They were fast nerd friends. On the weekdays, they created scenarios in Danny's dorm room with an old Lenovo ThinkPad T420, and in the evenings they burrowed into the crazy nightlife around Brunswick, Georgia. Thule was the man for the job. He spent the better part of 2 days tearing through the back end of 2 trains in the night. He eventually found an exploit, which led him to the Curator's IP, and eventually his service address. Danny, listen, I did some pretty sketchy shit to get this. It won't hold up in court. Do yourself a favor. Accidentally bump into the killer. Thule's voice was filled with sarcasm, but he knew what he was talking about. This wasn't the first time he and Danny had come up with some less than savory evidence. With the help of an old hand, namely Barnes, they always found a way to legitimize it all. Barnes, I have an address. 225 Riverside. Danny was interrupted by the detective. That motherfucker. Right next to the gazebo. That was the first time Danny had ever heard Barnes angry enough to cuss. You're coming with me. Barnes grabbed Danny by the arm and dragged him through the police station doors. They arrived at the old brick building in record time, mostly thanks to Barnes and his refusal to respect the speed limit. Barnes hunched over in the driver's seat. His hand lifted the faded blue denim around his ankle. He drew a compact pistol from a black ankle holster. This is one I brought from home. It's untraceable. If you need to use it, then use it. Do you understand me? Barnes scrunched his face and stared firmly into Danny's eyes. Yes, sir. I understand. The gravity of the situation took hold, weighing down every muscle fiber in his body. What lay in wait inside that old brick fortress? Was she there? Was she okay? The answers didn't matter, at least not right now. What mattered right now was action. They needed to get in there and find the bastard. We go slow, and we pay close attention. Impossible to say what we're about to find. Barnes held that same serious tone, a tone that was reserved for matters like this. The dark, damp stench of decay tore holes in their olfactories. The smell of human filth. Their feet crunched on bits of crushed glass and trash as they slowly, methodically swept through the entrance. To the right was the remains of a hollow core door destroyed in rage by an unknown beast. Chunks of it lay scattered in the doorway. In the center of the room was a large sheet of half-inch plywood with a white pentagram hastily scribed on the wooden surface. Dark blotchy stains contrasted the eggshell chalk star. On the far wall, stained yellow from years of neglect, held a single metal locker. The kind of metal locker from a gym or maybe a theme park. The usual, generic blue paint had faded, and deep rusty red had taken its place as chemistry continued to consume the metal. Watch the doorway, commanded Barnes. He made his way to the locker, his feet squishing with each step on the wet carpet. The heavy pot metal door took a fair amount of percussive persuasion, the dull metal thuds of his revolver on the latch, shocked to the damp, still air. Barnes doubled over, coughing and gagging as the smell hit him. Carefully, he exposed layers of scalps that filled the locker, a tangle of black, brunette, and blonde hair in various states of decay. Next to the macabre collection was an old spiral-bound notebook. Barnes thumbed through the notebook, with Danny over his shoulder, curiosity forcing him to abandon his guard post. The demon Fleagroth has chosen me to carry on its work. He showed me how to make her. They gave me the instructions to defy death. I will resurrect each piece of meat and combine them into the perfect woman, made from the perfect parts. Read the scribbles of a clearly insane man. Danny and Barnes both shook. The humid, sour air reminded them of their mortality, of Rook's mortality. You're too late. She's complete. The voice came from behind them, erratic and lost in some deep psychosis. My beautiful, perfect woman lives, thanks in no short part to Detective Finch for providing the hands. Perfect hands. Danny spun around fast, his eyes pulsing with madness. He had lost Rook. Again, fate had rug-pulled someone precious from him. Fuck it. I have nothing to lose now. Danny thought as he lined the sights up with the Curator's face. As if in slow motion, Barnes watched the thought rush through Danny's veins. Murder, clear and concise. Perhaps he even deserved it after he had kidnapped and killed Rook. Barnes knew exactly how much the kid meant to Danny Boy. He was hoping they'd stop flirting with the idea and date already. The thought pained Barnes. She was like a surrogate daughter to him. He had never had any kids of his own. "Danny, no!" he yelled milliseconds before the flash and bang. Danny's shot broke the hard surface of the man's skull, entering just above the right eye. It was a quick death, a courtesy the evil bastard shouldn't have received after the plague he'd carried. Danny wailed as he unloaded the pistol into the body of the Curator. Each shot caused a small twitch in the body. Danny's finger kept squeezing the trigger, the unloaded firearm resting after its job well done. Barnes grabbed the gun from his hand and looked him square in the eyes. "Danny, it's over now." His voice was soft and filled with understanding. A commotion a few rooms down the hallway interrupted the heavy-hearted moment. The pair looked at each other with puzzled expressions and then ran in unison down the hallway. They made it to the doorway of a room that was very poorly lit. With hesitation, they entered. There, tied to a lawn chair, was Rook. Her stumps were purplish-black and flicked blood everywhere as she thrashed against her binds. Across from her, leaned up against the wall, something so uniquely disturbing that the men lost focus on saving Rook. A woman of perhaps 5 foot or so sat crisscross on the floor. Her body was nude. Long, jagged sewing marks separated the many-toned sections of flesh. The patchwork woman didn't move. No, of course not. The grotesque testament to all of his victims lay still and quiet, a statue of stolen flesh and bone. Rook caught their attention with desperate screams, muffled by an old, dirty sock and a rope. "Shit! Rook!" Barnes yelled as they moved to untie her. Her thrashing and screaming was replaced by muffled panic and mumbling. Suddenly her eyes got huge, and she looked past their heads into the darkness behind them. Barnes whipped around. The morbid abomination was now standing and slowly stepping towards them. At the end of each arm, Rook's 5-finger discounts flopped threateningly at them. She wanted revenge for her master. With each squishing step, she let out a mutilated moan, pained by the burden of revenge. Barnes lifted his revolver and shot the demon. The tissue mosaic fell. A sickening thud echoed out, followed by a gasp. Rook shook, horror on her face. Danny pulled her gag away.
She...
Rook struggled to find the words.
She was still alive.
The blood loss overcame her. She collapsed into Danny's arms. Her name was Carrie Dalton, and she had been missing for a few weeks. Barnes remembered the case well. He and Rook had helped the lead detective with some of the groundwork. The poor girl had gone on a Tinder date and never returned. Barnes let the memory fade from his mind. Today was a day of celebration and of love. A tear rolled down his face as he watched Danny Boy slip a gold necklace past the lacy white veil that cloaked Rook's face. The purple and black bruises were almost completely healed. They kissed, and everyone cheered. Even Barnes launched a good howler into the crowd. But he couldn't ignore the tension in his stomach. Something felt incomplete. Where the fuck did their bodies go? Barnes played the image of Danny mag dumping the Curator, and the image of him shooting that poor girl. The crime scene detective found no bodies, only partial remains of the female victims and a notebook filled with demonic seances and spells. Necromancy seemed to be the leading theme of these very detailed notes. How to beat death, how to raise an army of the undead. But that's all bullshit. This is just a crazy guy doing crazy things. Another disturbing fable for the archive. Thank you for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed this week's fable, please subscribe and leave us a review. Ghoul kibble is a specialty item and very hard to source, so anything helps. Until next week, bye-bye.